2023, and the time right now is 5:30 p.m. So first up on our agenda tonight is that we will have prayer, and we have a pledge of allegiance to the flag. Commissioner Siri is going to lead us in our prayer, and then we have a guest, Alila Snyder, who is a sixth grader, seventh grader, okay. Soon to be eighth grader. Eighth grader now, okay. All right, well, Commissioner Series, if you will.
Sure. I didn't come prepared, and I'm kind of that guy that likes to do moment of silence, and we have a former president in hospice, I guess still in hospice and not updating. So I'd just like to do a moment of silence for everybody that's in hospice. And thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Siri. Yes, ma'am, you want to come forward? Ms. Snyder?
That's right. That's right.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, young lady. Commissioners, next on our agenda is approval of the agenda, and you've had it since last Friday. Are there any additions or deletions to the agenda? If not, we will accept the agenda as being presented. Thank you. Next on our agenda is where we hear the public. And at this time on our agenda, we hear the public concerning items that are on our agenda only. And we will ask you to come to the microphone once being recognized, identify yourself, and then we will allow you to speak 3 minutes or less about items that are on the agenda tonight. So is there someone desiring to speak about items on the agenda? Going once, okay, going twice. Welcome, Dr. Roach. You're like you're on the edge of your seat. You okay? Oh, okay, good. All right. Well, let's go on then. Thank you all for your attendance tonight. Item number 1 is an appointment to the airport board. That recommendation comes directly to us from the airport board itself. The chair would like to entertain a motion to accept the airport board nominee.
I'll make a motion to accept the recommendation of Don Mosier to the airport board.
Thank you, ma'am.
Second.
Thank you, sir. Any questions or comments? There's a brief bio of him attached to our agenda. No questions, no comments, then the chair would call for the question. All those in favor of the airport board appointment say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Thank you all. Item number 2 is a letter of endorsement for the Art Center of the Bluegrass. Ms. Kincaid, are you going to do that, or?
No, I can.
Oh, well, I'll do it.
Through Kate Snyder, and I thought why don't you, do you want to come to the microphone? Yeah. I just looked up and saw you. Thank you.
I'm still the grant writer for the Art Center of the Bluegrass, so I'm wearing multiple hats tonight. But we're applying for any number of grants right now because, as we know, there's a building that needs some renovating, and so we're working on funds for that. One of which is to a historical preservation entity through the National Landmark Trust. The grant application is due this week. There was a space for optional letters of endorsement, so I drafted one up for Earl to consider signing, and he said since I was going to be here tonight anyways, he would just throw it on the agenda for you all to look over, and if you had any questions, it just says you think it's a great project and they should give us money.
And the letter is going to be under the signature of the mayor. I've read the letter and
Wonderful.
approved it and wanted to get approval from the commission tonight before we do that. So, commissioners, you've had a chance to preview the letter. So what are your comments? Chair, entertain a motion or whatever is your pleasure.
I move for approval of the letter endorsement as written.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any other comments?
I'd like to, if I could, in the letter, read paragraph 2, because I think it's important for the public to know what good work you guys are doing. The Arts Center is raising necessary capital funds to undertake extensive renovations and restoration work for the building, a project which aligns perfectly with the city downtown master plan approved in 2020. Preserving the legacy of glass and Stephen Roll Pauls was one of the stated goals of the master plan, making this project an important one to the city. The combination of historic preservation and expanded arts programming is a perfect example of transformative community development, and we anticipate that this project will bring substantial benefit to the city in the form of cultural tourism and enhanced quality of life for our citizens. That was important to me, so I wanted to share it.
Thank you, Commissioner. Any other comments, questions? There is a motion and a second on the floor to endorse this letter. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Thank you all. Thank you, Ms. Snyder, but you might as well stay there because you're the next item on the agenda as well. And that is an update from the downtown merchants.
Well, thank you so much. I've been in lots of communication. Oh, let me introduce myself. I'm Kate Snyder, and I own Plaid Elephant Books on 3rd Street. So I am also here tonight not only as an arts lover, but as a representative of Danville's downtown business community. I've worked a lot with Melanie here over the last few months, and at our last merchant meeting, she suggested that I come and give a quick update on things that were happening downtown. I promise that I will only reference the Heart of Danville 3 times in my very brief updates. But I wanted to share that one of the things that Melanie and I have been talking about is, are they missed? Like, are there any holes that are not being filled? Is there anything that we're missing? And so one of the things that I wanted to preface my remarks on is that I'm happy to provide an update for the downtown. In the absence of the Heart of Danville, it is harder to speak for the downtown. So I want to be clear that I'm speaking for myself and a bit on behalf of some of the other merchants that get together, but it's a little harder to say that downtown is doing X, Y, and Z in the absence of that kind of organizing entity. But that said, downtown is kicking and we love it. I wanted to start with a couple quick words of thanks, a couple quick updates, and then a question/suggestion at the end. So my thanks are, thank you for the parking spaces that you all have designated downtown in those city lots for downtown customer parking. I cannot tell you how many people have told me that it is helpful to them to know that there is designated parking close to the downtown businesses. So those spots are being used and they are deeply appreciated by the downtown businesses. So thank you very much for that. Thank you so much for the grants that you made available to the downtown businesses. I know that the folks that received those are grateful. We appreciate the recognition that the streetscape, while a fantastic project that we are very supportive of, has had negative financial impact in the short term on some of the businesses downtown. And so we are grateful for that recognition in the form of those funding grants that were made available. And I just wanted to say thank you to Melanie because she is awesome and we are really enjoying working with her. She's been a terrific liaison and a terrific voice back and forth with the city, and I'm delighted to get to work with her. So thank you to Melanie. Okay, a couple quick updates of fun things that are happening. The first is that this coming weekend, March 3rd and 4th, we are doing Downtown Employee Appreciation Weekend. Apparently the 3rd is National Employee Appreciation Day, so many of the shops downtown will be offering a discount to any downtown employee on Friday and Saturday this week, because we appreciate how many people there are that are working downtown and that are also therefore eating lunch and shopping and making the most of the economic part of downtown. So Downtown Employee Appreciation Weekend, spread the word. There'll be posts on social media for you to like, share, disperse. We are bringing back third Thursdays this year, which I'm very excited about. In coordination kind of with the Downtown Downbeat, we're gonna run third Thursdays for the same window of time, so April to October. Everyone will be able to have fun on first Thursdays in the form of the live music, and then third Thursdays will continue to be an emphasis on shopping and dining. So the shops will be staying open until 8 again, and we will be having some promotions and some activities. One of the things that we're trying to do is focus on sort of a Kentucky makers theme in partnership with the farmers market and with some of the artists in town to have makers, whether it's artists or some of the bakers, some of the farmers sort of popping up in and near some of the stores downtown to encourage folks to take advantage of those shopping options. So I'm excited about that. I tried to call it Meet the Maker, and then I was told it sounded too much like Meet Your Maker, which had an entirely different connotation than we were going for. So right now we're looking at Kentucky Maker Spotlight. Is this why you got to say things out loud sometimes? You don't hear it until you say it. So I'm excited about that. There'll be authors at Plaid Elephant. There'll be some artists. We are talking with some of the farmers in the farmers market about setting up little stands, a little different from the trying to do the kind of pop-up market that we did last year. There was some thought that spreading them out around to the businesses would help encourage people to be circulating through downtown and taking advantage. We're trying to get the entertainment district alcohol license up and running for third Thursdays. This is one of those areas that is just a little bit more challenging now because without the heart, the merchants don't have the same collective agency. We can't activate the downtown entertainment district without a sponsoring entity that will sort of activate it on our behalf and cover the necessary insurance. We're hoping that that's gonna come via the chamber. They're picking up the entertainment district licensing for the downtown downbeat and are looking into what it will cost to also have licensing for third Thursdays and if that is going to be feasible. Because we've certainly heard from people that they really like the being able to stroll and sip and take their drinks outside, but we don't have we can't do that ourselves. Kate, cannot activate the alcohol license and probably shouldn't anyways as a children's bookstore. But I do, I wouldn't if I could. But that's something that we are working on and we are trying to look at other partners to see if we can make that happen for people downtown. And then the other thing that we're working on, and this is something that Melanie's helping with, which I'm excited about, is a receipt swap between business and restaurants. Right now, already, Cersei on Main and Copper and Oak have this lovely reciprocal relationship where if you dine at Copper and Oak, you get and bring your receipt from the same day and you get 10% off at Cersei and vice versa. So we're talking to, the merchants are very much in favor of this, and we're talking with the other restaurants to see if it's possible to make that kind of a downtown-wide standing deal to really try to encourage folks. The whole idea is to encourage you to make more than one stop when you come downtown. If you're coming downtown to shop, get a bite to eat. If you're coming downtown to eat, pop into the stores. So anything we can do that has that sort of mutuality and that reciprocity is good for business. So that's something that we're working on this spring and just making sure that everybody's comfortable with it and understands kind of what the commitments would be. But I think that'll be a nice thing that can benefit and encourage people to come downtown. So those are my couple quick updates. And then my request or my thought as I was asking the folks, I was polling the merchants about, what did we want the commission to know? And they all said, more parking, always parking. It's okay, we're working on parking. And then it was just this sort of question of making sure that everyone is just mindful of the vitality of downtown. And this is one of those, and my example for what was the catalyst is when A&L Accessories, moved further down 4th Street. And the property management group that was looking for the rental, the way that they listed the property was that there was this lovely retail/office space available. And it just killed my heart. I am delighted that the Cater Dog is going in there. That was a wonderful outcome. But I just, I had this vision of it turning into offices. This prime, beautiful retail space could easily have become office space. And that was something where that was one of the focuses of the Heart of Danville, was on the right mix of businesses downtown and really being a champion for restaurants and for retail. I've told the story. The Heart found me my space. They were the reason that I got in touch with my landlord, knew that it was even available, and they helped me figure out that I needed to be there. And so I don't know who's doing that now exactly. And maybe, it's something that maybe we're all doing. I met JJ this morning. It could be something that, economic development is taking on, the chamber is taking on, but I just kind of raising it to general collective thought about making sure that we're still being intentional about what it takes to have a vibrant downtown, in addition to gorgeous tree-lined streets. I'm so excited. Like, those are wonderful things too, but just thinking kind of about that business mix and putting it out there to you all to think about. I don't even have a specific request, which makes it not super helpful, but I appreciate your, thoughts and attention to that piece of the downtown development.
Thank you, ma'am.
And I think that's all I've got.
Any questions for Ms. Snyder? Well, thanks you, and please come back and continue to update us.
I will be happy.
Okay? All right?
Thank you.
Thank you now. The next item on our agenda is Resolution 2023-02-2701, opposition to Kentucky Senate Bill 50 and House Bill 50. City Manager Kofi, you want to take the lead on that, please?
Yes, this is a resolution opposing the Senate and the House Bill 50, requiring that local elections, school boards, and also city races be partisan. That is in conflict. The argument that KLC is taking a strong position on is that is in conflict with home rule, which is constitutionally allowed to cities to self-govern. And this becomes a dictate, which is a slippery slope for the things that the city commission chooses to do. So therefore, the bills such as this tends to be opposed by cities and KLC, which is why we brought it in front of you.
Thank you, sir. Any comments or questions? A motion to vote to oppose, or whatever your pleasure might be.
I move for approval of Resolution 2023-02-2701.
Second.
And that would be that we're opposed to the Senate and the House passing Bill 50. Okay, thank you, sir. Thank you, ma'am. Any other comments or questions?
I think it's going to be helpful with KLC opposing, and we all went up to City Day and Night, and I think most of us were able to talk to our representatives about the opposition to this, so.
Anyone else? If not, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Thank you. Motion carries. Ms. Crossfield, you're next with a community gift card update.
I'll be quick. So just a little recap. We are going to be launching the community gift card program for local businesses and choose to participate. And you can buy a gift card that will work at all participating local businesses. We are planning to launch on March 13th.
questions or comments? All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, I thought you had one. Thank you, ma'am. Next item is the city manager report.
Thank you, Mayor, Commissioners. We'll start off with the important dates. March 13th is the next regular meeting. The 27th is the next regular meeting, both in March. March 9th is the first budget meeting. It's the one that KLC will be here to start what we've called the strategic planning process for you guys. It's not a community strategic plan. It's a budget strategic plan for you all, establishing the goals for staff, et cetera. So that kickoff is March 9th. That is our first budget cycle meeting. March 17th is Economic Development Symposium. We have gotten a tremendous amount of positive feedback from folks that we've reached out to, including our neighboring counties. We do think it will be well attended. So certainly the morning session at 9 a.m. to 11 is open to the public, and you're welcome to attend and hear Doug Griffiths speak on 13 Ways to Kill Your Community, which is a book he penned, and we certainly think it has a lot of novel ideas in it, but it's also very insightful in terms of what mistakes we make as a community, and just the Kendall is doing our training for our servers coming up, and I forget which day that is with CVB. Things like that are critical, and so we're hoping that that's his presentation's well received. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out. March 23rd would become our second budget meeting, also tied to KLC. Then after that, we'll start getting in numbers, which will show you the full calendar. It is attached. In terms of follow-up, the budget calendar, if you'll scroll through, I have those dates. We are proposing, KLC called in today, and on on April 13th, they did have one conflict there, and they asked to move that to Friday the 14th. And so the version that's in your packet reflects that change, and so long as you all are comfortable with the rest of the calendar, go ahead.
I got lost a while ago. I can't find the calendar in the agenda.
It is attached to the PDF.
In the agenda?
No, it's an email. You sent an email?
No, it's in the packet.
Okay.
It's on my
I don't-
screen.
I got lost because I don't have the calendar. Okay.
Yeah.
Do you guys have it?
It's in your OneDrive in your packet. The email that sent out Friday was a link to download the agenda. If you go to your OneDrive, it's actually has populated the OneDrive with the agenda packet today. So the email that was sent out Friday, don't go to that. Go to your normal OneDrive, and it's in there.
A nice calendar. It's 3 months.
It's a pretty calendar. It's got all the way through June.
You guys haven't seen it? Huh.
No,
Okay.
I
Sorry
haven't.
about that.
I still can't find it. So.
Well, they'll need to send it back out. I
Yeah,
saw it
well,
earlier. Yeah.
As you look at it when you do, if you have any conflicting dates, let us know this week. I would like to send this out as a final form towards the end of the week. So as you access it, when you look through it, everything is generally shifted from Thursday to Friday, except for 3 or 4 meetings. One, the first 2 KLC meetings, and then the community agency presentations will be May the 4th. That will be on a Thursday also. Other than that, we tried to move everything to Friday meetings at the request of a couple of commissioners. And then, and if you have any questions, feel free to reach out.
But you just changed the 13th of April to the 14th of April, right?
Yes,
And
that
that's
is
not
correct.
on the.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. And then if you have a time on this calendar that you're sending out, that's the exact time. Like if you have it 10 o'clock written on it, it's actually at 10.
That's
this
what,
time?
that is what we're doing, yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so the
If
times
it
are
shows
correct.
the start time at 10, so the version I send out by Friday, that's your draft, and if you have any questions, get back to us. And if you have any comments, get back to us. We'll publish a final form, and then we will publish that through Ashley as a final agenda. Probably will put that up on our website too.
Okay, so the 13th goes to the 14th, and what time is that?
10 a.m. Yep.
Please make note of the 10 a.m. time. Oh, I know you guys can. I just was trying to be in a cooperative mood.
After you have time to look at that, we had an opportunity to meet with, since the last meeting, with those food trucks that had some concerns over the language in the ordinance. We sat down and Melanie did a good job of taking notes as we heard their questions. We summarized there's a PDF attached which has question, concern. It has a column with that in it. You'll see that when you do locate the packet. You'll see that the question and concern, for example, one of their questions was, why is automobile liability part of the ordinance? And so what we responded with a discussion summary of what we all talked about, and then action moving forward. So there's 3 columns in the PDF. The action for that item will be is that we'll recommend an ordinance change to remove that requirement from the ordinance. So we basically felt like that we had a nice comprehensive meeting with those folks, and we heard them. We responded with action items that is contained on that PDF, and we presented those action items to those folks, and they generally were satisfied, what I would consider satisfied, in that they didn't express any complaints as they were walking out to us, didn't verbalize any concerns or raised hands during the meeting. And so we felt like that was a good starting point for revisions. What we told them is that this ordinance didn't exist before now. So we have one. We are changing it to accommodate a little bit of the nuance of the interpretations that all of us are trying to make. And that we would probably let this sit this year unless something drastic happens, and then come back next spring and meet again if there's a need if the ordinance just seemed too cumbersome through the summer and didn't seem to work, then we would come back and visit again. So we felt like that we had closed the loop on the food truck ordinance, and we will be bringing some information back to you all as a board to approve.
To amend the ordinance.
To amend the ordinance slightly, yeah. The biggest change on the ordinance that is the liability on the automobiles. We felt like that was, it was a carryover from larger cities, and we didn't feel like that the city should care what they insure their vehicle for.
Right, and that was the big cost, right? It was like
That was the one
$1,000.
that added cost that
Okay.
that we didn't intend to add any expenses like that.
And that's going to alleviate some of the concerns of the guys who are going to come in just for one day, one event or something too.
Well, some of that was how we interpret our special event permit.
Yes.
And so part of the fee, part of their licensing is to cover our inspections of their equipment. When you have a special event, the special event coordinator is paying the police department and the fire, paying the city through their permit to do those special inspections. So it doesn't have to be the same license if you're coming in and doing a single special event. We did try to clarify that for the folks in the room. That is can be a complicated discussion, and we won't try to repeat it, but we do think we feel like we have that covered now and clarified.
Yeah. Okay. Any other questions or comments? Anything else on the city manager's report?
Yep.
Sorry. So when it comes to parking, and it was very kind of Katie to say something about parking, and I think we're doing pretty good, but I also got comments that some people don't know we have a parking garage, and that's available. So maybe some additional signage would help out there, let people know.
Josh and I have looked at that a little bit, and we intend to change something with that, and we'll propose if needed what that is. If it's something we can change administratively, we'll do it. Mm-hmm. But it does have to be improved. He hung one sign on the street light adjacent to the entrance, but after observing that in practice, it's not enough. So we'll do something additional.
Small. Yeah, it's too small.
Yep,
Right,
too small.
Okay. All right. Other comments? I've been told to move this thing right along. There's a big program at Center College tonight that several young ladies in attendance desire to be there by the time it starts. So let's move on. We come to the second part of our agenda, hear the public, and the public is invited to talk to the commission about things that are not on the agenda tonight. And be recognized, come to the microphone and give us your presentation, 3 minutes or less, and we'll move right along. Anyone desiring to speak to the public on items not on the agenda? Yes, sir. Identify yourself, please.
Bo Cacciatore. I own Copper and Oak in La Cosa Nostra downtown. And I just wanted to come in and speak with everybody to let you all know how devastating and although essential, and it's going to be great that the construction has been to both retail and restaurants downtown. I can speak directly to the numbers at my 2 locations, and then I can speak loosely for the other restaurants in town who come and look for advice or whatever from me.
Sure.
Construction started roughly June 22nd, and since that time, my stores are off 37.5%, and I'm happy to give anybody who wants it documentation. What that equates to is $600,000 in lost revenue, 28,000 guests, year-to-year comparison. It's a really big number. I employ a little over 70 people at my 2 stores. I have about $25,000 to $30,000 a week in payroll. I'm extremely invested in downtown Danville, as you all know. Over the last 4.5 years, I've put $2 million into downtown Danville of my money. I've opened 2 restaurants. I'm also indirectly responsible for Boogie Nights and Bricks and Brews. Those were both people who came up through me, learned from me, through the Copper and Oak family tree, I guess, and I supported them and helped them get them open. Since construction started, we've also lost 4 restaurants. We've lost Bluegrass and Buttercream, we've lost Harvey's, we've lost Tuts, we've lost Danville Poke and Sushi. Maybe other factors were a part of that, but I can tell you right now, revenue was a big part of that. We're extremely grateful for the grant, the part 1 of the grant, as we discussed, the $10,000. But when you have the kind of business that I have, $10,000, seems like a lot of money to some people, but it's not even a Band-Aid to us. We really need some help. I know there's ways to do it. My restaurants are gonna be okay. I'm in a different position than some other restaurants downtown, and the retail stores are getting crushed as well. And we've got to get everybody some help soon, somehow, some way. When this is done, I feel everything's gonna be unbelievable, and we had to do it. But we have to live in the moment now and get these people some help. I have not fired one person. I was able to give everybody Christmas bonuses. That's the type of family that I have, and that's what we do. But we've got to get some help, and I really ask that you all figure out some way to get this second round of some significant grant money, as a lot of other cities have done during downtown construction projects like this. I appreciate you all, and if there's any, like I said, I've got a lot of reports that I can give you direct from my point of sale systems, graphs. We've done a lot of research, and these numbers are real, and it's a real life problem we have downtown. But I thank you all for your consideration.
And thank you for your comments. Anyone else here, the public? Yes, sir, the guy in the back. He can go first? Oh, okay.
Mr. Klein?
Steve Klein. I won't be long. I just wanted to thank the commission and Earl and his staff to repairing those broken and busted bricks there on the sidewalk in front of the Constitution Square gift shop. And Josh for coming up with moving that stop signs out more where the traffic, and we'll see soon how that it has improved the safety for the pedestrian. So, thank you.
Thank you, sir. Yes, sir.
Good evening. My name is Dan Campbell. I'm a citizen, taxpayer here in Danville, Kentucky. I have a background, I'm a real estate broker and an appraisal background. And I'm here tonight to challenge the purchase of 315 Main Street by the city from the Arts Center. Also have a question as to the validity and the use of the ARPA funds to purchase that property. My understanding is that the city council is scheduled to finalize that purchase. And although I was informed last week through the city finance director's office, that purchase has already been completed. City council members, are you aware of that? The fact that the Arts Center purchased the building on February 2nd for $525,000, which in my opinion is overpriced. And a few days later, the city agreed to purchase the same building from the Arts Center at the same price of $525,000. That gives the appearance to the local taxpayers, including myself, the possibility of collusion and possible fraud. My understanding is the purchase of that building is not an appropriate use of ARPA funds. The fact also that ARPA funds do not have to be used until December 2024 and projects completed until December of 2026. That, to me, does not constitute a sense of urgency as you were directed. City Council, are you aware of that? And I have requested information from the city as to the open records request referencing the ARPA funds that were allocated to the city, how monies have been spent, capital projects, on-capital projects, future projects, and the balance of funds. I have not received that information yet, but I was told late this afternoon I should have it by tomorrow. And at that point, we'll be back to discuss those issues. There may be an audit in the process. Finally, I would like to say, in my opinion, it is quite apparent that the lack of transparency between the city council, the city management, and the citizens needs to be addressed and corrected. Let me also just say one more time, as a taxpayer in Danville, I'm opposed to the purchase of 315 Main Street by the city of Danville using ARPA funds. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Is there anyone else? Ms. Brown?
My concern tonight is, I'm Wilma Brown, citizen. My concern tonight is with the accessibility of the downtown, the Danville Downtown Master Plan that was adopted a couple of years ago. This plan is very important because you're using it as justification for spending the taxpayers' money and for buying property and for also making sweeping changes in the downtown area. My concern is that the Downtown Master Plan document is not on the city website, and it needs to be. If you go to the city website and you type in Downtown Master Plan, you will get an overview of it, you know, just a philosophical overview without any details whatsoever. You'll get the news article, a recent one, where you have approved the purchase of the Art Center Annex, and then you will also get a staff written justification of the buying of that building. And in that justification, are listed, are included, 4 to 6, depending on where you land, 4 to 6 pages from the 52-page downtown master plan. And that is taken out of context. The entire master plan needs to be on the city website so that any citizen can go, or taxpayer can go to it and look at the plan in its entirety. The only place that you can find the plan is on a Advocate Messenger newspaper site. And I don't know why they have it in particular, but that's where you find it if you happen upon it. And it says, there is a part on the website, the city website, that says, there's one little phrase that says, see full downtown master plan. If you click on that, you'll get to go to the Advocate Messenger site and look at the full document. But I know that you agree that the full document needs to be on the city website. And so that's not, I think that's a no-brainer. It seems to me it won't take very long to put that on there. And I'm urging you to suggest that in the very near future. And thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Anyone else? All right, thank you for your comments. Commissioner comments are next on the agenda. 3 minutes or less. Just joking. Any commissioner comments?
I can start very briefly, and he's already left, but nice accolade for our Danville Superintendent, Greg Ross. And I always like those positive things for this community. Yeah, Lexington Herald Leader front page is great.
Awesome.
Okay. Anyone else?
Black History Month walk run was very successful for its first time. There were 163 participants in the cold and rain, and they raised $1,000 for our local Salvation Army. And I was glad to see our mayor and our judge exec out there and trucking along and staying healthy. And it was a great community event. Next year, it's going to happen again, February 24th. So maybe we'll have 300.
Oh, wait, how did you know the mayor and the county judge were there?
I was hiding.
Oh, you were there, all right.
We were all there, yes.
Yeah, okay. And I participated in the 5K. Get that out, right? And I finished the 5K, right? Unlike some other people, right? Any other commissioner comments? All right, have a little fun.
I had one more. Big thank you, I guess, to Earl and staff from the food truck group. They came back, and I heard so much just from, I have a few of them that shop in the store, and they said, wow. They listened, things were clarified, it was positive, it was solution-oriented, all the great things that, you want to hear, just listening. So thank you.
Comments? Let's move right along. We got a long way to go. Next item on the agenda is item number 7. Is that all? Payment of the bills. Chair would entertain a motion to pay the bills as presented.
I'll move to approve the bills and for $252,235.26.
Thank you for the second. Any questions, comments, corrections, additions? Hearing none, all those in favor of paying the bills, say aye.
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 Those opposed, thank you for paying the bills. Item number 8, first reading, ordinance number 2007, insurance premium tax. Lee Compton. Why don't we have the reading of the ordinance first so I won't forget, right?
This is the first reading of ordinance number 2007, and ordinance amending Chapter 16 taxation, Article 3 license tax on insurance companies of the Code of Ordinances for the City of Danville, Kentucky to decrease the percentage of tax payment that is required upon the issuance of insurance policies.
Can the chair entertain a motion at this time?
So moved.
Is there a second? All right. Ms. Compton, you want to have a brief comment about this?
Yeah, just a refresher for folks who did not hear our meeting last time or who did and don't remember. We had proposed reducing the insurance premium tax rate from 10% to 8% across all tax categories except the marine inland rate, which was set to go to 4% next fiscal year, as a way to benefit local citizens when it would not reduce needed revenue significantly.
Thank you, ma'am. And you said we're going from 10% to 8%, right?
10% to 8%, yes, sir.
Somebody get that to the advocate for me, please. Roll call vote?
Commissioner Cottle,
Yes.
Commissioner Peak,
Yes.
Mayor Atkins,
Yes, ma'am.
Commissioner Holland,
Yes.
Commissioner Saris.
Yes.
Ms. Compton, you're up for the next item as well.
Yes, just a quick brief update. In the month of January, we issued 26 business license for the interested public. Those are listed on our website on the business license page on the left-hand side of the page, or you can search business license issued. You can get those updated each month. So,
Thank you, ma'am.
you're welcome.
Any questions or comments to her on that? All right, thank you. Item number 10, first reading, ordinance 2008. Madam Clerk, you want to read that for us, please, ma'am?
This is the first reading of ordinance number 2008, an ordinance amending City of Danville, Kentucky Code of Ordinance, Section 18-56, subsection E, pertaining to sanitary sewer industrial discharge limits, and Section 18-80, subsection 3, pertaining to monthly sewer service charges for industrial customers.
Can I get a motion?
I'll make a motion.
And is there a second?
Second.
Mr. Carey, you want to give us a brief explanation of this one, sir?
Yes, Mayor. This is in regards to wastewater discharges from industrial and commercial sources that may contain pollutants at levels that could affect the wastewater treatment plant, the biological and microbial balance of the wastewater plant. So items like nickel, lead, silver, copper, chromium, so on and so forth, which is detailed in the ordinance itself. So,
Any questions or comments for Mr. Carrier? Okay, roll call vote again, please, ma'am.
Commissioner Peak,
Yes.
Mayor Atkins.
Yes, ma'am.
Commissioner Holland.
Yes.
Commissioner Saris.
Yes.
Commissioner Cottle.
Yes.
Thank you all. Item number 11.
Mayor, if I may.
Yes, sir.
I wanted to reach out to the public and mention that this Thursday from 8:30 a.m. to noon and Monday from 8:30 a.m. to noon, that the water office will be closed. This is due to ongoing training for the new software solutions, billing software that the city's undergoing. So I just wanted to get that out there. So
What days and times again, Marshall? I'm
it'll be
sorry.
Thursday, this Thursday, the 2nd, March the 2nd, from 8:30 to noon, and then Monday, March the 6th, 8:30 to noon.
Okay. And that will be right out here or at your area
It'll be right here.
Right here?
These offices
Okay.
will be closed right here.
for the new software?
Yeah.
Okay.
Those employees will be working on computers for the new software training, so.
Okay, thank you for that information, sir. Resolution 2023-02-2702, landscaping bid award. Chair will entertain a motion. Is there a motion to accept this?
I move to accept land, resolution 2023-02-2702.
I'll
Second.
second. Okay. You
I'll
beat me.
third.
Josh, you want to explain this to us? To the
Sure.
audience in particular?
We bid out the annual landscaping contract on February 21st. We received one bid from Divine Creations in the amount of $78,885. Divine Creations has been our landscape contractor for at least a decade at this point. This is pretty close to their bid from 2 years ago, which surprised us considering the bidding environment. So we're pleased with the bid. The work's been satisfactory. And just kind of let the public know, this contractor maintains all of the city's flowers and kind of the grounds around our flowers. So when you think about our baskets, hanging baskets, all our flower beds in our medians, all our flower beds around City Hall and at Wizard Park, this is what that contractor takes care of.
Take a minute too and digest what the number means. So it's $80,000 in round numbers. And on the surface, yes, that seems like a big number. And to communicate effectively, yes, the city is spending $80,000 maintaining all the flower beds in the community that are publicly owned. At the same time, at that price, you could pay for one employee. And there's no way one employee could plant the flower beds and maintain just Wizard Park alone. And if you think about the variety of beds and the locations for them and the equipment that it would take for us, the hanging baskets and watering of those in the morning and those things, all those are covered with that price. So there's a good value to it. And we give credit to Mr. Devine for not having really, that price has been stable for a few years and been very reliable. So we just want to acknowledge what the value is for that dollar amount.
Guys, does this also include the Welcome to Danville boxes?
It does, and to comment on those real quick, let me jump in there, Josh, sorry, but we've been talking about at length proposing some changes for those. We recognize that those are dated. Some of the boxwoods and some of them we've lost over the course of time. And so it is definitely, those are 30 years old, and it's definitely time to renovate those. And so Josh and I are working on that, and it will be a budget item that we'll talk about this fiscal year in the budget process, that is.
Appreciate that.
I just have a question. On the bid, okay, the total, does it include the additional $500 a month for tree watering? Or is that additional every month?
That's just something, if we ask him to water additional trees, that's his unit price. I don't anticipate needing to use that. That's just
$50 per tree,
something.
right?
Yes, and
Okay.
that's only if we say, hey, he's, in his contract is there's a certain amount of tree watering, but if we need additional watering to be done, that's a unit price that we can.
So the tree planting program with Dr. Weston, when sometimes those have came in the fall before, and so we've added 10, for example. And so this is a way to add those in the event that there's funding for trees.
Okay.
Right.
Thank you, guys.
Since you brought it up, Commissioner Peak, this will include what we had before, and that would be the trees going back on Main Street. There won't be additional fee for that?
No, it won't be an official.
Yeah.
So those will be, when those get planted, there'll be a year of maintenance included in the contractor's contract. So the contractor will be responsible for those surviving for the first year. So they'll have a year warranty on them. Then we'll take over responsibility of watering on those. So we'll address that next year, either through this contract or through some other mechanism. By that point, we should have the endowment we discussed previously with Professor Weston about the Ag Extension Office intern that would help water it in the summer, that they could assist with that next year.
Did you create this motion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Thank you. Item number 12, Resolution 2023-03, Flower Purchase Bid Award. Josh?
Yes, we also bid out annually, we bid out for the actual flower material for our landscaping contract. We received one bid from Red Barn Nursery in the amount of $55,896. Those bids are included in your packet. It's very comparable to last year, so we recommend award to Red Barn Nursery. You'll see in the bids, there's two different prices for the depending on the basket's quality. So we return the baskets every year to them. Yeah. If they can reuse those baskets, we get a savings. So I've listed the high end number for your all's approval, but it may come back in less than that if they can reuse some of the baskets.
That's good. Is there a motion?
Move for approval of Resolution 2023-02-2703.
Second? All right. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
We have discussion.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh.
What you want to talk about? What you doing?
Well, just most of the citizens are in favor, and I always get complaints. So, who decides like where to put the flowers? Like out there by Fazoli's, always seems silly to me because
That's
they get.
it's a beautification function. I think, that committee, that decision was probably made, 30 years ago, where to start putting, probably more at this point. Looking back at Janet, because, she's involved in the beautification committee. So I think that those are decisions that we review each year. They kind of go through the flower list, and we look at it usually in the wintertime. Do we want to make any changes? Is kind of how the conversation usually goes with beautification committee, and we haven't recommended moving off of those Fazoli beds or any of those beds recently. But that's something that's beautification. That's kind of their one of their primary roles is to make those decisions.
I will say that's a hard bed, and we've tried many different styles of plants out there. There is irrigation out there, but it is a hard bed to get good, consistent growth out of.
And I think it was 2 years ago, we took all the dirt out of those beds and replaced the dirt, just because over time, with all the salt accumulation and different things, where over the years, you have to kind of replace the soil at some point to get the vitality back.
Okay, I mean, most people love the downtown flowers and think, wow, they really care about their downtown. But I always think we can cut back a little bit. Most citizens think it's silly out there by Fazoli, so I think it is too. And Berkman is a so-so, but we love them downtown, so just thought I'd throw that in there. If we can ever cut back, that'd be great.
Okay. Can we call for the question then? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Okay. All right, let's go on.
Aye.
No, it's all right. Yeah. But it's okay. We have them in some other parts of the community besides. Okay. Let's go on to item number 13. Resolution 2023-022704. Josh, you're still.
Yes, this is I don't have an agreement ready for you all to officially approve. We'll come back with that at a later meeting, but the KYTC reached out to us asking if we wanted to renew our cooperative agreement through the Municipal Road Aid Fund with them. I've kind of defined what that means. Instead of getting monthly payments, we'll get 3 payments, 60% in August, 30% in February, and the remainder at the end of the fiscal year of our municipal road aid funds, which is the gas tax money that's funneled down to the city. We did this program last year. It actually works a lot better for us from a financial standpoint. It's easier for us to keep track of. And part of that program is there's a pot of emergency money that if something ever comes up, we can access that emergency funding through KYTC. So we got an email a couple weeks ago, said they needed to know by the end of the month if we were going to renew or not. So I come to you all tonight and ask if we want to renew. So then once I tell them we would like to, they'll get an agreement to me and I can bring that back to you all later.
So just as clarification there, we would just like a voice motion in favor of the recommendation. And then what is proposed in your packet will be accompanied by agreement once developed for a future meeting. So the resolution is not under consideration tonight.
All right. So what's your pleasure, Commission?
I'll make a motion
To say yes to the joint
to
agreement?
say yes to the joint agreement and bring it back to the commission for approval.
I'll second that gladly.
All right. Thank you, ladies. Is there any other discussion on this item? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
I'm getting you, girl.
Aye, sorry.
We had a good time in Frankfurt together. Item number 14, mowing contract. And Josh, keep on rolling.
Yes, the city, we bid out our annual mowing contract. We opened bids on February 2nd. The city received 2 bids in the bid tabulation is in your packet. And the 2 bids, one was for $337,275 and the other was for $220,410. That's about a $117,000 spread. So that had us concerned. So we were evaluating the bids, and then through the process, Marshall reached out to me and asked that we could add a few properties, particularly the wastewater treatment plant property, which has always been mowed by staff at the wastewater treatment plant. And we talked about it. We thought it was a good idea to add it, but that was going to require us either after we selected doing a large change order, or what we are going to recommend tonight is that since we had such a spread between bids and we have these other properties come online, we would like to reject the bids and rebid the contract with these new properties added so that we can do this. We feel like that's the most proper way for us to proceed with this situation.
So is there a motion to reject the bids as presented, and in that same motion to allow staff to rebid, re-advertise?
That's a good motion. I'll second that.
Okay, Mr. Cottle. Any discussion on the motion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Hey, we need a second on that, please. Unless I missed it, we need a second on that.
I seconded it.
Oh, JH was the motion?
Did the motion.
Oh, okay. Sorry about that, Mayor.
Yep.
Is that allowable?
Of course it's allowed. It's just not customary, but it's allowed.
We're going to slow down for Steve.
Would you please?
Did we carry that motion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right. Those opposed. Motion carries to turn down the bids.
You know, I regret withholding a joke I was going to make earlier that the industrial discharge limits were settled after reviewing the sewage outside of Kevin's home. But now I'd like to go back if we could get that done. Back into the record books.
I wish you would have said it.
Thank you.
That would have been good.
Will that change your vote? Item number 15, I've got to move on, right? I'm getting close. Planning and zoning comprehensive plan update. I want these ladies to be mad at me.
Yes, we wanted to kind of give you an update on the comprehensive plan process. Michaela's here with planning and zoning. If you all have any questions, we've been reviewing different firms to be able to complete the comprehensive plan with the other legislative bodies in the county. We've worked with the county, with the Junction City and Perryville. We've looked at a couple of private firms and then also KLC and Bluegrass Ad. We've interviewed folks. We've gotten proposals, and it appears at this point that the consensus is to move forward with the Bluegrass Area Development District. I don't know if we have a final agreement from them yet. They gave us a proposal. I don't know if we have the agreement yet, but we wanted just to give you all an update. I think are you going to speak to the county tomorrow about this as well? So we're not sure what direction they're officially leaning, but we wanted to bring this forward to you all. And they did give a proposal for initial, do you remember what that number was? It was, I'll let Michaela get up and talk. Because I think, KLC, we have an agreement in place with KLC to do the city part of a comprehensive plan. But after the review, KLC was going to have a higher price and a lengthier time of completion. And I think that kind of drove us away from KLC a little bit. And I don't think it was anything negative. It was just, hey, we're busy and it's going to take us a long time, was part of that conversation with them.
And the mapping issue too, right?
What's that?
The issue about the mapping
Yes,
was concerned.
KLC does not have in-house mapping, so that was going to be additional cost. It was kind of what the price really drove the price up. So Bluegrass Ad has in-house mapping that will keep their costs down on that end.
Yes, ma'am.
Yep. Yeah, the proposal was for $48,725. That was our cheapest proposal that we got in. They are proposing, like Josh said, a shorter timeline, a dedicated staff person, and they can do mapping in-house. I worked at the Bluegrass Ad for a little bit, so I will be the primary point person with Josh on this, so hopefully we'll have a good relationship. But if there's any questions about it, I do think this comp plan needs to be done. I've been really excited about the fact that we're looking at doing it as a joint comprehensive plan with the city, county, Junction City, and Perryville.
Yes, ma'am.
So I'm excited, and I do have a copy of the agreement that I can hand out if you guys would like to take a look. This obviously isn't finalized, so we can take a look at the scope of service and let the ad know if there needs to be any changes if we decide to move forward with it.
Sounds good. You all want copies? Sure.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
It was a great meeting, getting all the cities and the county together
Yeah.
in the same room and come out smiling, shaking hands, saying we're going to work together on this thing, which really was, and I give staff credit for all of that. So the rest of us was just there physically to be the intimidators to say, get on board, but no, just kidding. Good meeting, though. Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah. And I think that's actually a really good price. I was expecting at least six figures. So.
Yeah, just a little background. The city's price with KLC was going to be $30,000, but that was just for the city. If we wanted to do the county as well, it was going to be another $30,000. So it was going to be $60,000. So you can compare that 48 and change to 60.
Plus the maps.
Plus the mapping. So
Yeah,
it was
the
going to end up
maps.
more in the low 70s after we added mapping if we went with KLC. So it's a pretty significant price difference.
Great.
I got that look. I'm going on. Thank you for that update.
Thank you.
Item number 16. is a sub-basin F assessment, RFO update. Josh?
Yes, the city put out requests for qualifications from engineering firms to assist us with an assessment of sub-basin F, which is a stormwater assessment, which sub-basin F, loosely defined, is kind of your north part of downtown heading north towards Streamland. The bottom end of this watershed is the culvert that floods going under Twin Brook. But it goes from there all the way up to Center College is kind of the headwaters of it. Main Street is the start, and it flows, everything flowing towards Streamland from Main Street. So, which is a needed project. It's one of our biggest areas and one of our highest. When you look back at that original stormwater plan from the 90s, this area had one of the highest dollar amounts on it as far as repairs that are needed, just because of the age and size of the watershed. So this firm will assist us in kind of doing an initial survey of the area. We'll do public outreach, and we'll develop projects and come back to you all with projects in the future that we'd like to proceed with. We received 4 proposals. Selection committee of city staff met, and we scored those. We would like to proceed with, we kind of give you all options when we do these selections of engineering firms. We can either select, we've got one we would like to proceed with, but if you all would like to review all the proposals and score them yourselves, or if you'd like to do interviews, we could proceed with all that, or we could go ahead and move forward with Bell Engineering is who we would recommend proceeding with. We've worked with a couple of the firms that submitted, and we've had good experiences with everybody, but Bell used to do a lot of work for the city in the water and wastewater area, and they're like to get back into this market and work with the city more, and they presented a good proposal. The project manager that they've actually have on their team used to live in Streamland, so very familiar with the area, so we're anxious to work with them if that's who you all would like us to proceed with. And if you all approve that, we will negotiate a fee proposal, scope and fee, and bring that to you all at a later date for official approval.
Well, I would hope that the commission would be in favor of letting the staff take the lead on this recommendation.
Definitely.
Since we got lots and lots of calls about this area in our last downpour, but it's great that it's right on the table, very timely. So unless the commission says otherwise, I'd like to let you guys take the lead on it and bring us back a working proposal.
So should we?
We need to approve this resolution.
Yeah.
Go ahead, young lady.
Okay. Oh, I like that name. I'll move to approve resolution 2023-022706.
Second.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments on this resolution? None, hearing none. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Resolution carries. Thank you all.
Thank you all.
Item 17. Looking for Bridget. Somebody going to present it on Bridget's behalf?
I can do that. We have one of the long-term tenants of the parking garage. So when the parking garage was constructed, we had long-term leases to cover the debt service. One of those companies eventually went default, and that was the hub structure. The current owner of the structure, which is Malcolm Bryant, is requesting that some of their leases be converted from long-term leases down to short-term leases, which would mean that their tenants, such as the Spine Center, would be a direct leaseor, rather than it be carried by Malcolm Bryant and just simply serving as a pass-through. Given the idea that we would like to, somewhere down the road, if the opportunity exists, do we want to revisit some of your daily parking in the structure? And we've had a hard time with the way the debt service was structured. We tried to cover the debt service with long-term leases, right? So what that meant was all of the parking spaces were locked in long-term. So working with Malcolm Bryant, this gives us an opportunity to pull some of those stalls back, about 25, I think. They're going to I think they have 33 now. So they're wanting to pull their number down to 8, which gives us 25 to start looking at, can we do something different with? However, that comes with their request that we offer the first batch to the Spine Center, which does want some short-term leases. The short-term leases are done in the back, but at the end of the day, we'll be left with about 5 or so extra that we can convert into daily parking for folks just coming into the building that are unreserved. So it seems like a good move in the short term, given the fact that we're trying to encourage more use of the structure, and it does free up just a few spaces to look at differently over the course of time. And like I said, it's with the partnership with Malcolm Bryant that we've talked about it and came to the conclusion that maybe this is a good decision to since the majority of them are going to be leased back out on a short-term basis anyway. And so that will give us some, if we want to move some of the spaces from the 3rd Street parking lot into the garage and leave those for customer parking like they're being signed now, we could do that. So it just gives a little bit of flexibility that doesn't exist. So staff is recommending that you pull the direct lease with Malcolm Bryant long-term leases down to 8, and the resolution accounts for that.
What's the difference in long-term and short-term?
Long-term is which was, I want to say, 25-year lease. So Malcolm Bryant right now is on the hook to make those payments for, 15 more years, which is a long time, but at the same time, majority of them are going to be short-term. Short-term's 3 years cycled through. I mean, it's, I don't know, it seems giving us a little bit of flexibility made sense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. Fellow commissioners, what's your pleasure on this?
I'll start by moving accept resolution 2023-02-2707.
Second?
Second.
Any discussion?
Can we get a copy of the original lease to show what we're amending? I mean, I understand it's 8, but I don't know if that's necessary, so that we would know.
Sure, we can. We didn't feel like it was necessary to inundate the packet with, the leases are about 30 pages long.
Okay.
And so it's a rather complex document, which was done for bonding purposes at
Right,
that
I
time.
remember,
when the
yes.
garage was, so we can certainly make those available. That was just kind of an administrative decision, and I'll take the blame for that, just to not inundate the 30-page document for something we're just striking the number 33 to 8.
So is that the only change in it?
It's the
That's the
only
only change is the number.
Okay.
They
No,
had
that's fine.
stalls, they had stalls reserved, like number 521 to 555. And so they will then only have 521 to 529. And then the other stalls, then we'll distribute differently.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's fine.
And once again, for clarification, if the Spine Center takes those over, does that open up street parking for?
Some of that, yeah. I mean, the whole idea is to put people in the garage structure to populate it. And when it's reserved, it has to be signed to reserve for them. And so this gives us a chance to revisit some of those markings and just to do something different with it, to encourage additional use of the structure, bottom line. Yeah. We're on the same page with the outcome.
And Earl, didn't you mention that we also have a list of downtown businesses that are interested in long-term spots if available?
Yes, and the long-term.
Which could alleviate street
Right,
parking.
Which is long-term for downtown is short-term, which is 1 to 3 years, somewhere in that window. Long-term for the garage means something totally different. That was meant to be for the life of the debt. So we could lease out all the spaces right now at the same price and still generate the same revenue, right? Right now, we're talking about keeping at least a handful out. And as we get done with the streetscape, then see how those could be used, see if we can get businesses to occupy those from, for example, the 3rd Street lot. Right now, when you go up there, you know that we've got some of the signs reserved for downtown businesses. We'd like to keep those signs there after the streetscape, right? So this gives us maybe a mechanism to do that with.
Okay. Other comments? Not all those in favor of resolution 07? say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Thank you, resolution carries. Item 18, resolution 2023-02-2708, closing documents for 415 West Main Street.
Thank you, Mayor. Before you is a resolution approving several documents, the first being a settlement statement or a closing statement for the acquisition of 415 West Main. The document that is before you is in accordance with the purchase contract, which shows $525,000 plus standard costs associated with the transaction, and it's scheduled closing tomorrow. It's also followed by a deed of conveyance from the Art Center to the city of Danville. The parcels are legally described, and I just should note also that the deed has a covenant that reserves a right for the Art Center to repurchase the building should the city ever declare it surplus to continue their mission. And following that are just various other closing documents that are standard privacy policies, disclosure of proration of taxes, et cetera.
Okay.
Happy to answer any questions. Otherwise, the resolution, a motion in favor of the resolution approves all the documents that we just discussed.
Is there a motion to approve?
I move for approval of Resolution 2023-02-2708.
Is there a second?
Second.
So, Stephen, until we approve this, we have purchased nothing, correct?
No, you've purchased nothing. The comment made earlier during Hear the Public was just ill-informed or erroneous.
Okay. I just wanted to
You
make
have
that
entered
clear.
into a purchase contract
Right.
that specifies that you will do it, but you have not yet closed on it. No money has changed hands. This is the first time the documents are being presented before you.
Very good, thank you.
Any other comments or questions?
And the ARPA funds are legal use of those
It
funds?
is eligible for use, sir.
Any other questions or comments?
I wasn't at the February 3rd meeting, so I just wanted to disclose that. But I did watch it. I did learn it's hard to hear. I had it like on blast,
I've heard that.
and I still had trouble hearing. So that could be an issue, I think, sometimes with transparency with the public. So I don't know if there's a way to jack up the volume. And it was a good reminder to me to speak into the microphone because I couldn't hear people.
Did you hear me cast a vote for you in favor?
Yeah, so I had a few comments, just, I'm sure things were talked about, but I just wanted to comment that I did watch the meeting. I was in favor of the project and thought it would be appropriate use of the ARPA funds. It would be a valuable asset to the city, and we get a good return on the investment. Personally, and it could be because I missed a meeting, I felt a bit rushed. That's just me. So I didn't know if it was a rush. So that's just how I felt. And a lot of the good things, like I think Ms. Wilma asked about some of the great things, I heard about it in closed session, so I really couldn't answer all the great things. I don't know if Nikki shared all the great things that could happen on each floor, but this project was anything but small focused. It had so many uses. And I guess the last thing that I thought would be a good benefit to the city and county, I think the county's looking at it tomorrow, the upstairs ballroom, I know this group and the city and the community really have use for a convention or conference room, and that would, fulfill a great need. And you all may have talked about all this on the 3rd. So sorry I'm behind the ball this time. I just had to share my 2 cents because I never got to. I'm concerned about the parking. I think that would have to really be looked at. It's a great facility, but where's everybody going to park? And I personally would like to see what the county's going to do and their input. But as far as this portion, I am in favor. I just have a lot of questions moving forward. And want to make sure we can always discuss this. I didn't hear all these things kind of discussed out here in public as much, so, thanks.
I might jump in ahead of Earl and take your answer. But what you may have missed is, at least temporarily, the old fire station goes down and becomes a parking lot.
How'd I miss that? The volume.
We just didn't tell you. Everybody else know we didn't.
Well, I did have COVID and both ears were clogged, but it still was.
That's a tough question. None of that's really been decided. Be careful about that.
Okay. So thanks for listening.
Are we still on item number 18?
We are. You have a first and a second.
The chair will call for the question then. All those in favor of the approval of the closing documents, please say aye.
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 Those who oppose, please say nay. Motion carries. That takes us up until the last item, item 19, resolution 02-2709, the lease agreement for 415 West Main Street.
Thank you, Mayor. The resolution before you will approve, after the acquisition of the property by the city, a lease back to the Art Center of the Bluegrass. And the lease is for $1 a year and stipulates that the Art Center will be responsible for the fit-up costs of the structure. And after it is completed, the city will accept it for maintenance going forward through the term of the lease. You'll be reminded that the city already leases the old federal building to the Art Center for the $1 a year price. So this goes in line with that concept. And other than that, it is a standard lease agreement. It provides how it will be maintained, what the city will be responsible for. What does not include capital infrastructure during fit-up. It requires acceptance after it has been built to maintain it going forward for those structural improvements, such as that any landlord would be responsible for: roof, fixtures, grass, shrubbery.
Which
as
is
part
the
of the
same
beautification
relationship
contract.
that we have at the Art Center.
The goal was to align it as
Existing
closely as possible to the relationship that transpires at the federal building now, which is outlined in this agreement. And we're happy to answer any questions going forward on it. And to Commissioner Holland, I would just add this, that, again, I think it's important that the city focus on the fact that it was asked to contribute to a substantial project, and in an effort to protect this taxpayers' investment to the highest degree possible is receiving a deed for its mere investment. But the Art Center is going to be wholly used, occupied, lived in, programmed by the Art Center to serve a strategic initiative identified by the master plan, but in preservation of taxpayer dollars.
Stephen, could you explain, just because I've never seen it before, number 10, I've never seen it quite worded that way. Is that pretty standard? It's the utility
No, so this was
portion?
Thank you for noticing that, because that was a bit of creativity on my part, so I appreciate you noticing that. At the federal building, the city is responsible for the payment of the utilities. So the electric and water and sewer is paid for by the city. Okay. We thought it would be a better approach for the public to have a better idea of the total investment of the city, because that gets lost in the contribution to the Art Center, because it's something that the city just pays. So at the end of the year, you say, well, what do we contribute to the Art Center? Well, somebody say, well, you didn't do anything. Well, you paid utilities for a year, but nobody, it's just in the bill. This way, the Art Center will pay for its utilities, and then the city will reimburse it through an annual agency allocation request each year. That way, we think it's more transparent to the public to know what investment the city has in that reimbursement for that utility line item. That's the mere reason for that, just to say for an easy way for future commissions to gauge what their total investment is in the Art Center going forward as an agency.
Okay. Thank you.
Other comments, questions?
Could you further go on with that same line item, or number 10, in there with actual cost plus 10%? Explain, I can't.
Sure. So to the extent that they have items of maintenance of the utilities that would have to, they are responsible under the lease for any maintenance of fixture items less than $2,000. So to the extent something need to be upgraded on that utility, whatever their costs are plus 10%, the city would reimburse just to help offset the cost that would be borne by them to maintain the utilities.
Or if the cost of the utilities is just higher than the previous year.
Yeah.
If the electric bill is just higher, this gives them a little bit of cushion. So the budget will be for the forthcoming year, and so that will be based on the previous year plus 10%. So if KU increases rates by 5%, this gives them a little bit of cushion of actual revenue they can rely on to pay that bill.
I think it's important for the public to hear the first page. I've had a lot of questions about, well, we'll start here and we'll use lots of public money, but this states the Art Center of the Bluegrass will be responsible for the fix-up costs of the building, and the city will maintain the same after completion. So I just wanted to reiterate that. I've had a lot of questions about that, so.
And I should, fit up cost is somewhat of a term of art, so it's not something. No, it's fine. But I'd want to say a fit up cost is a standard term for commercial lease agreements, which include modifications to take it where it is today to where it's going to end up. That is called fit up cost. Leases are drawn different ways. Sometimes the landlord is responsible for fit up cost. Sometimes there's a set price, the fit up cost as an allowance that's given, and sometimes the tenant accepts all the fit up cost. In this case, the tenant is accepting all fit up costs. Now, I know they hope to fundraise for those through a variety of partnerships that are forming or hope to be formed, but that allows them, again, the city's desire is to be but one partner in a big circle of partners, both public and private. So yes, there are public dollars to this. My guess is at the end of the day, there will be vast more private dollars involved in the Arts Center, and that's to benefit the entire community. And so that's why the city is jumping in and saying, we want to participate because that's what private donors want to see. And the goal is that the entire rest of the project would be funded by private dollars. From the city's perspective, I should say.
It's almost 5 minutes to 7. Wow. So I guess I need to carry this resolution. All those in favor, say aye.
We need a motion in a second, I believe, don't we? Thank
Do
you.
you already have it? Oh, well, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Is there a motion for approval?
I'll make one.
Is there a second?
Second.
I'll say I'll do that too.
You can do both of them. All those in favor of approving this resolution, say aye.
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 Those opposed? Resolution carries. There is a need for an executive session, but I know I'm going to lose some of my commission members, but it's okay, we'll still have a floor. And it should be very brief, executive session. Is there some personnel?
Yes. Personnel.
Does someone want to entertain a motion to go into executive session?
How may we go into executive session?
All right. We're back in regular session now. Mr. City Manager, you have some items for us?
I do. Staff is recommending the hiring of Albert Booker to the position of water treatment operator, Class 4.
So moved.
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any discussion? Next,
Staff is asking that you accept the letter of resignation of Police Officer Hobie Daugherty.
I'm going to say no on that.
No.
I make that motion.
Say with regrets.
Regretful one?
Yes, okay. We have a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.